It is a real privilege for me to join with you in these exercises dedicated to our late and dear friend. It occurred to me if we could have surprised him in one of his serious moments, he might have admitted a little pridefully to being a journalist by profession. A journalist, the lexicon tells us, is a writer who aims at a mass audience. We all know that he was a uniquely gifted picture writer with unerring journalistic marksmanship. His aim was straight. His mark was the minds and hearts of his neighbors and fellow citizens. His message was the encouragement of brotherhood among men. He reached a massive audience indeed. Through his special talents, he exercised a tremendous influence upon a great number of people. One of his many exceptional virtues was his recognition that the possession of such wide public influence required the self-imposition of a corresponding high standard of responsibility in its use. In accord with that high standard, his reports were projected with immaculate accuracy. His observations were interpreted with a wholesome enlightenment. His persuasive power was governed by noble restraint. He fulfilled all professional obligations without any dilution of his principles. It is commonly held that he could have accepted the attractive offers from a number of media and used such high positions to seek expanded acclaim and larger returns. He chose not to do so. We know there is always some private agony in any choice we make involving others, especially our families. And I have no doubt that he suffered his full share on such occasions, but I think he made a prudent choice for everyone concerned. He purposely chose a more confined fame for himself and a more limited prosperity for his family for what he felt was an ultimately greater good for his loved ones and himself. He thoroughly understood the basic tenet that if you wish to know and love your neighbors, you cannot remain away from and above them. You must constantly live with and walk with them. And that is what he did. I believe that is why he withdrew without derision, he wrote without distortion, he spoke without disdain, he portrayed without being pernicious, he humorized without harming. He did not stand aloof in dictatorial judgment of his neighbors. He walked among them and talked to them with a deep and sincere compassion. He spent a good deal of his life bringing wholesome pleasure to our community. In the morning, he sent us out with a chuckle to face the dreary world. In the evening, he bade us and our families to welcome the night with a smile. He was an intimate member of every household. And in being and doing all this, he revealed himself as a man of unsurpassed professional skill, of immeasurable warmth, of self-effacing humility, and of a spiritual wisdom that looked beyond the stars. I think he has characteristically left us a moving example at the precise moment when his country needs such example. Today, our country and our people are at a crossroads of destiny involving our own survival and the world's future. We are beset by afflictions of frightening challenge. Abroad, we are embroiled in an agonizing conflict whose frustrations have developed a dangerous disunity within our ranks. At home, our prosperous society is generating grievous human weaknesses. Let us passingly reflect that in this country we have the highest standard of living of any people in the history of the world. But ironically, we also still have millions of poor people in the midst of our affluence. We have comparatively more crime than anyone else. We have a higher divorce rate. We have more mental illness. We are appalled at the amount of delinquency among our youth, and in too many of our communities, we cannot walk the streets in safety. As we look about our land today, I think you may agree that there are fortunately too many regrettable signs of widespread immorality, indifference to recognized ethical conduct, defiance of constituted authority, and even some thoughtless ridicule of the heroic sacrifices of our young military servicemen abroad. These are symptomatic of a declining moral character and a depreciation of goodwill among our citizens. When we observe these signs and try to assess the whole picture, we are all stirred with deepest concern for our people and our country. We may well ask, how can we save ourselves, our children, and our nation from further deterioration? I confess I do not know, nor have I heard of anyone who does know the exact solution for each one of our varied and complex national problems. But unless the solutions we evolve are based upon moral principles and sustained by the moral will of the majority of a God-fearing people, they will not suffice, they will not stand. These essential supports
Too fast.